For it, Leslie. There we are. It's official. Thank you. Um, Untainted, untethered, unbound. Look at the language used for those who know the true quality of mind, the true quality of our capacities for awakened heart mind. And I think nature also reminds us of that nature, boundless, vast, open. You hear me use these words all the time. We're going to use them this morning as it relates to nature and, of course, the Buddha nature, the awakened one's nature is all that means. And yes, for those of you who may be new to our group, what you know is that I do not in any way see myself as, or you, as a Buddhist, but for certain a Buddha, for certain a Buddha. And I hope that that distinction will keep becoming clear to you. There is no requirements for that sectarianism, believing in anything. In fact, what we know, and we have good evidence for it, don't we, that it is as divisive and as dangerous and as murderous as a thought could be. And so we do not participate in that. So whatever your root tradition, welcome. You are welcome always here in loving arms. Your goodness will be a contribution as well. So let's prepare to sit. I was going to try to find something to read from Healing with Nature, but I think we've already got ourselves well set. So let's see if we can't make contact with that nature. And so finding oneself in a dignified, upright, like that beautiful tree that might be outside of your window. Deeply rooted into the realities of the present moment. Rooted deep into the earth. Into the flotsam and the foam. Breathing our way down the body. This beautiful body. And how do we know it's beautiful? Well, it's offering itself completely right now to you. Wherever the space, wherever the fat deposits, wherever the bone, wherever the muscle, a little bit of a technicality. Can we abide the body as the body is the instruction sitting here? And then once again, calling to mind or looking out to view some sense of earthen form, the earth itself, a tree, something that can remind you about the solidity, rootedness, groundedness of your nature and of this vast nature around us. And while you're resting in the body, opening the sense doors. Maybe particularly the eye door or the ear door. And breathing in the vastness, the beauty, the all-inclusiveness of the nature around you, including you. May we offer this practice today to all beings everywhere without exception. May we see their true nature through our own, remembering that they too are our brothers and sisters, like leaves on a tree. They are just like us. And creating space and room within this heart mind for them. And then offering this practice, not only for our benefit, but theirs. Having made contact with this body as the earthen body in contact with the earth sitting here, we don't mistake this earth for ours. It's a loner. And we don't mistake this body as ours. It's a rental. But we do make contact with it. We do read the instrumentation. And so we're going to open this body, and now particularly including the sense door of sound. Let's just open into nature, both in front and behind, left and right, through the ear door, listening to sounds as we breathe. To make contact with our true nature and the true nature of all that is around us, it requires a stable, still, and quiet mind. We're not trying to force the mind into quiet. We just continue to point the mind to the stillness, the silence, the open space that is all around. We actually rest back into it rather than pressure oneself to it. See if you can feel the difference. This nature of ours, we don't have to fight to it. We actually soften into it. You can hear sounds because you are in contact with silence. You can catch the movement of the breath because of the stillness of the body and that which is around you. One is required for awareness of the other. Practice at this moment is simply the resting back. We're not seeking sounds, we're not seeking stillness. We're resting back into that naturally open, available capacity of awareness. Abiding stillness and silence is its nature. The capacity of our true nature, of our Buddha, Jesus, David, Muhammad, Brahma, nature, all that is in its goodness, is the capacity to rest back into that true nature, stillness and silence, that vast open space, and then see clearly the reality that all objects, sensations, breath, now sounds, come and go just like the weather. But that there is this capacity, this sky-like open capacity of mind to hold it all. The crow and the singing bird. Can you see the nature of the thinking mind? To have a preference, to hear one sound more than another, to maybe even have a reaction, pleasant or unpleasant, to a certain sound, and that how quickly the mind attributes that preference to the sound itself rather than to the lens, than to the thinking mind that sees it, to the conditioning of our own thinking minds. And yet, that vast open sky holds it all. This is the place from which we awaken metta. The all-inclusive, all-embracing, equalizing contact, neutralizing preference. Can we feel that nature of awareness, that Buddha nature in us that opens equally, open-heartedly to it all? This is metta realized. And so first we equalize attention. This is an essential part of the training. We open to the things we like and the things we don't like with equal openness. Essential radical training. Metta is as much a quality of mind. Quality of attention. And so you see the requirement here, just in working with sounds, for this skylight open, all-inclusive aspect of our attention. We cannot offer kindness or love, care or compassion to that which we do not make contact with. And so we begin by cleansing that preferencing mind, that preferencing reactive attention. We let go of things like words so that we can open completely to experience. So there then is no crow, no singing bird, there is simply sounds. We lose some of the conditioning with the language as we let go of the language for the direct experience. And so we offer this essential attention with equanimity, with openness. And we have already cultivated the fertile ground for metta. But it is not sufficient. We then continue the training beyond the equalizing of attention to recognizing our conditioned qualities of mind. We notice the grip, for example, when the crow caws, the slight tension, for example. And we begin to work with our own conditioning, our own reactivity. It's really not about the sound at all. We begin to clarify, clear see, recognize simply sound as sound. And then notice the very subtle movements of mind, this thinking, preferencing, biased, conditioned mind. And we even hold that in the metta practice. We extend and offer metta then essentially to ourselves. We don't try to stop it. We're not trying to get rid of it. We're trying to see that thinking, conditioned mind nature, the preferencing of one, the rejection of another. And the metta practice is again right here. We begin to open to both the objects as they're arising and to our experience and to the mind habit. Seeing that clearly is so beneficial. We can feel for ourselves in our own distress. That we can see our attachment and draw to the pleasant, that which we like, that which is familiar, that which carries a positive or affirming storyline, and equally that which we reject, don't like, don't want, is unfamiliar. This is a great opportunity right here for a kindness being directed to oneself. These are the seeds, the mind seeds from which all hatred, all ill will, all aggression arise. Right here, these little preferencing moments. Attachment and liking, the wanting of this, that sound, that bird, that direction, in that sky. And the energy we invest in the getting away from, getting rid of, closing down, shutting off, reacting with aversion to that which we don't like. I want you to pay attention for that. That awareness is critical. And remember, awareness by its nature holds them both. There's nothing to do here in the practice except bring that recognition and then open with an essential acceptance and allowing, noticing that little grip that I can feel right below the heart when there is something that I don't prefer or don't really want or want to be different. This is essential information. Can I feel for myself? That contraction is costing me, is limiting me. And the seeing of it liberates me. Continuing to use sounds. And then the reactions, the thoughts about sound. Can we hold ourselves as we seek the pleasant, as well as when we shut down or push away the unpleasant? This is actually the definition of suffering, that very not seeing, clinging to the pleasant, rejecting the unpleasant is the path to suffering. Seeing it, abiding it, holding ourselves kindly, with care, with attention, is the metta practice. Cultivating that sky-like, open, spacious quality of mind, infused, completely filled with care, with regard, with openness, no bias, no preference, no rejection, no clinging, but that gentle embrace. This too will walls of separation, of disconnect, of reactivity begin to dissolve. We can feel the way the heart mind begins to expand and include with the training itself. And once we establish this stability, we can actually begin to, on purpose, apply the prescription of this open, spacious, uh, metta infused heart mind by turning towards a difficulty. But it takes this establishment, this setting the mind right inward measure. And then we can recollect a moment of aversion. Let's practice with that. Now that we have the lens correct on the heart mind, by practicing with sound, see if we can recollect a moment of aversion. And as we recollect it, see if we can open with that same all embracing, all inclusive, regarding, caring, and compassionate heart mind to our own experience. I'm going to just use a very mild uh, circumstance. My husband's a chronic whistler. I'm recollecting a moment yesterday in the middle of a conversation, and it's actually making me smile now. But at the time, I was just like, stop that. And I'm just feeling into that stop that mind moment, seeing how it translated into a suffering body, contracted, closed, distancing, disconnecting, separating mind body, feeling the effects of that one small reactivity, one small moment of aversion. And you think of yours. Of course, I'm recollecting, oh, that was just another sound, because now I'm holding a much more equalized mind and heart for sounds of all kinds. And then in our compassion practice, which is an extension of our metta practice, we can simply hold ourselves, literally drawing the hands to one's own heart, offering a gentle touch, and remembering this is a moment of reactivity, of suffering, of difficulty, of challenge, as formed by this mind. I acknowledge this. We're not trying to get rid of the difficulty. We're not trying to imagine it wasn't a difficulty. We're holding ourselves in metta with a kindness as we have experienced this as difficult, challenging, unwanted. This is a part of the human experience. Can I greet myself right here in my own aversion with kindness, with patience, understanding, empathy, compassion? This is the nature, our own true nature. And as I breathe with, be with, rest with, bear witness to this experience, I can invite that further inquiry in rain that says, what was this about? Of course, it wasn't the sound at all in my case. It was the feeling disregarded, not heard, not acknowledged, not responded to. That fearful child. Can I hold that too? Can we hold that in ourselves? Radical act of kindness and compassion. Our true nature. Vast like the sky. And then we can nurture or nourish with those metta phrases, with physical touch, with holding ourselves in our vulnerability. See what feels right for you. May I be free from this distress. May I recognize that this is not who I am, just a fear-based reaction. Can I hold this within myself, within my own heart, mind, lovingly, kindly, compassionately, offering healing, connection, presence, wholeness. And as that heart expands, we can then include others. And that can be others on all sides of the experience, of course, others who get a snarky comment for some simple action, others who feel vulnerable or disregarded, others who have these momentary interactions and can see then it more clearly. See where that awakened heart expands and what it includes. Vast like the sky, open. radiant, brilliant, and luminous like the sun. Offering it room and space and warmth. Holding it like a mother holds her most precious child. And feeling the effects on your own body, on your own mind and heart, as we hold ourselves in that loving presence. Our own true nature. Holding ourselves in all weather. Offering shelter and refuge and kindness. May we all be safe. May we all be peaceful and at ease. May we all remember our true nature, open, inclusive, embracing, and loving. And as we cultivate this awakened heart mind, may we offer to ourselves and then to others inviting peace and happiness, ease and well-being upon the whole of you. And breathe that metta, that compassion, that loving presence into all directions. Let it touch the birds and the leaves and the ground and the beings. Without our mindfulness, there can be no metta. Without our metta, there can be no happiness, no ease. And so we cultivate them both. And we all have peace. May this practice help us remember who we really are and who the other is as well. May we love them all. So feeling into the body and just inviting that alignment, that opening. So here we are. The sound's still very present. So just like for me today would be interesting just to hear from people how their metta practice has been going, uh, the point of it, of course, is exactly this, first connecting with our own true nature, and then really remembering and remembering that this is the true nature of all beings. And so as the quote by Pema that I so love is that we then begin not to mistake the other for the weather, but see them also as the vast sky with, clouds and storms and winds, and but that we don't mistake that moment as we recognize it simply as the condition rather than who we really are. And it's so easy to forget, isn't it? However long you've practiced, 20 years or 30 or two, how easy it is to go, nope, that's just bad. That's just wrong. That's just um, harmful. That person intended. I think this is we recognize this as one of the extensions immediately of the attributional assignments of pleasant, unpleasant, good, bad. They go right together, by the way, how we immediately then make assignments about that other person is bad, failed, deficient, and how it will contribute to our self-righteous capacity to create harm. And, we're all doing it, whether it's over someone whistling across from you, in my simple example, or whether it's struggling with the system. It doesn't mean we don't attend to that reality, because there is unskillfulness, there is caught in our own crooked lens, there is greed, but the solution rarely is furthering it with our own, and recognizing those preferences is a way of beginning to offer stability to ourselves, so that whatever then actions are required, right, whatever the response might be, it will be done with the benefit towards the well-being of all, towards the clarity and understanding that is necessary for real solutions. And we see this, of course, on not only a micro level, how we do that all day in our personal lives, but we're seeing it really play out fairly well in our macro systems, how one blames the other, who blames the other, who blames the other. And in all that blame, whatever the truth might actually be, and I suspect there are aspects of truth in it all, the truth is, with that separation, there will never be a resolution. It will not come from that. It cannot come from that. And I don't know how to fix that macro issue today. I do know how to catch this quality of my own mind in these small moments, in these seed-like moments of consciousness. This is called seed, where just the reaction to the whistling, just the, that's wrong, bad. And that I can, through my own mindfulness and my own metta, right that measure, so that that mind is once again stable and still and clear seeing, and available now. And available now, I love this part, to a true solution, whatever that might be. I don't mean to imply that everything is resolvable either, because I think that's dangerous, but that in the holding of it, with stillness, silence, spaciousness, metta, and compassion, what can be done, as Joko said often, what can be done is now mine to offer. And I love that. That's important to me. Will it fix it all? I don't know. At least, maybe, I will not be a contribution to the suffering. And that's our first vow, that I am not a contribution to the suffering. And that condemning rarely is the contribution. Doesn't mean we don't point to what's true. This is, right? But that we then solidify it, don't we? Make it all about the other, not seeing their true nature either, is just another part of a delusion, a delusional process, and will not offer anything but more difficulty. So what do you know about that? Why don't you come on and say hi? My husband walked in here and brought me an iced coffee, which was quite, that's a little Saturday treat. That's that same whistler. That was that guy. That guy I was condemning. Yes, yeah, that was him, the whistler. Again, can we see beyond the preferences to the true nature? So hello, everyone. What do you have to say about this? What do you know from the practice? Jim, you're sitting here, so I'm going to turn this your way and see what you have to say. Chalk up.
I'm enjoying an avian symphony.
Yes.
And I know Greg was annoyed at a retreat with the crows, but if you add them to the symphony, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. It's a beautiful, amazing combination of everything. And it's not one instrument, it's the combination. And right, left, Republican, Democrat, it's really, the differences don't matter.
The shared nature really is the point. The crow wants to be as happy as the mourning dove, and interestingly is as worthy, isn't it? That's way more difficult when we get into elephants and donkeys, and but it's no less the practice, it's no less the work. And I noticed, again, just a funny example, I've done a lot of practice on opening to try to hear and include others' perspectives. Actually, I think I've made some solid progress in those regards. And then here I am, that same heart mind sitting at the dinner table, making faces at someone who's whistling, and have to open equally, as well, as often, and maybe more so because, of course, I've been doing some training around the political stuff for, solidly over 4 years, and have not been as aware, interestingly, of my reactions, for example, to something really small like the whistling, or small like the crow, or small like Milton, the cat who's come in to get pet. And can we stay awake for it all? Because it's super easy to miss the seed components. And really the teachings say, if we can't capture it there, it will grow, and then it will grow, and then it will grow. And then, of course, we can mistake righteously, I think, well, but this, because this is so big, this politic, this religion, this belief system, this whatever is so big that I'm entitled now to reactivity, to cause harm. Well, the truth is, it is happening anyway. So entitled or not, I don't know, but recognizing it becomes much more difficult. I do know that because we collectively then also buy in to a certain kind of delusion, don't we? Which is them, they, other, not okay, not furthering consistently harm. So Leslie, I see you on. I'm wondering if you have a thought about this. Good morning. I can't hear you, Leslie, which probably means you've got mute on. Let me see if I can unmute you. You have to unmute you. I can't. I've asked you to unmute, but that's as far as I can get.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, good.
You have to chalk up.
Okay, well, I didn't come on to participate as much as I came on because I know you would sometimes like to see faces while we're part of the group. So I just was making myself present in that way by putting the video on.
Thank you. What are your thoughts about this practice since you're here anyway? What observations, experience did you have?
I'm still wanting to notice not getting, not staying in the circuit, not staying in the circuitry, and noticing when I am, and blah blah blah. It's like,
Man,
and another
Charlie
part
down
of me, is going, "What are you doing?"
Mhm.
And wanting to, and notice that I got caught, and then choosing and recognizing that I have choice,
Yes.
to just say thank you to that part that was suffering, and felt vulnerable, and then having it, then some other part of me, having some quick amount of self-compassion, not like to linger so much, because that's sometimes not healthy really for me. So to just give a total thank you to the other part, and then that feels that thank you with an embrace of feeling of like, and then a stronger part of me, more grounded, more expanded, has a space to open up and be present, and lead, and then lead the way,
Yes, isn't it true? Don't you feel that? It doesn't mean the feelings go away,
Right.
by the way, and it's not required. The feelings are the feelings, like the wind is the wind. The stillness doesn't come from that anyway. It comes from that vast space holding it, including the wind, right? The stillness is still there, even and we can hold the feeling as an experience. This is a very radical understanding, isn't it? That we don't have to like sever ourselves, get rid of experience, chop off, forego, that's bad, make it go away. But we do have to hold it with some kind of capacity, stillness, to see what it is. I couldn't have guessed my own vulnerability, as an example, yesterday over whistling, right? If you just put those two quickly together, you just go, well, that's just an annoying sound. It's very easy to come to. It really is more in the still and the spaciousness and the care that I can say, really, what's happening here? Where is the suffering? What's this really about? Since it's not really the ear door that's suffering, where's the real ache? And where is the tenderness, and can we hold it? And the answer is yes, beginning with our own contractions, beginning with our own confusions, beginning with our own shutdowns and not wantings and wantings. And the teachings say this, which is, if you see the craving for the pleasant, I repeated that twice, and the aversion to the unpleasant, you see enough to be awakened. That one thing, if I can see the attachment, clinging, drive for the pleasant, and the aversion for the unpleasant, this by itself, it says, will lead the way to being unfettered, unbound, and liberated. Right. And that was the opportunity today I was hoping to invite, with just this thing as simple as sound, and then what our own reactivity, our own wanting and not wanting. So thank you. It is something I'm going to invite us to hold with that pause, with that stillness, so that we can catch it not only at these macro levels, politics and religion and theologies and philosophies, but also in these tiny little seed moments where we are too easily letting them go without seeing them clearly. Right, something that simple. one of my practices recently has been catching the just little tension, snark, or in my voice. And really watching for that, just little response to, well, of course it is. Or, I already told you that. Or, right, these little tiny moments that really often in many ways we just move by, but really like, what's that? What's even that? What is the offense really to this egoic self that's now found voice in its nature, and that we can look, we can use awareness of sound to catch our own. Actually, like I can even hear the slight edge in it, the slight disconnect, the slight rejection or in it. And can we use that
Diana,
this week? Yes.
for me, when you're saying that it's just small and tiny, to me, it's very big. It is not small and tiny. I'm doing something similar in my life as to what you're saying. And to me, it's gross for me when I notice just those things that, wow, something that, I would not want to see in somebody else. And I would not want to be on the recipient of it.
Yeah.
And it can create those little snarks that you were saying can create a lot of harm for me, I see. So to me, it's large.
It is really, it's the word that's sometimes used in these teachings is refined attention. Refined attention. That actually, if we can't sit still for a little bit like we just did, just hearing the crow and catching the little jangle, hearing the mourning dove, feeling the openness, we can't without the training. Even now turn that beautiful mindful attention with metta towards ourselves to go, wow, that's real suffering.
Right.
That's real. However subtle is what I meant. It's huge because it is the seed for all violence.
Right.
You're exactly right. It is the seed for all violence. And if we don't catch it, we cannot eradicate. We cannot really see its clear cause and then respond. My own vulnerability, my own tenderness, my own fear, my own distress, my own too tired, my own overwhelm. It doesn't matter. But can we see the lenses? And yes, right through the voice, right through things as subtle as the facial expressions, as the voice, as the way we hold the body, right? These subtle, often missed, but not so missed, Leslie said, because boy, often don't you know it when it's coming from, it's like, I can feel the judgment in that. I can feel the sense of otherness in that. I can feel, right? And how we just tumble the words, I think so often, unconsciously. And they will all cause harm, which was Leslie's profound. They all cause harm. Once that snowflake is one of the metaphors, hits that mountaintop and begins its tumble. This is called papancha, right? The proliferation of harm to harm to harm to harm to the avalanche, as well as the proliferation of a moment of recognition, a moment of metta, a moment of holding will equal and propagate also itself. And so where we place the mind then becomes the beginning of everything. and what we see, where we open mindfully. So we're going to commit ourselves to this today for the week, because it's so easy to get in the macro and miss our own contributions. Just like yesterday with the whistling. So again, and not so small, as Leslie is saying. Thank you for that. It's a big practice for sure. Anything else anybody wants to say before we get ready to sign off? We've got a beautiful day. I hope it's true there in Israel as well. Courtney, we have Courtney who's not been on because she is moving from Colorado to Nashville, I think it is. I don't see Courtney on today. I don't think she is. I think she's probably smack in the middle of the move. But I want to wish all those of you who are here and not here, wherever you happen to be today, I want to wish you well. It looks to me like we're all good. I don't see anybody coming on. I'll wait one more minute just to make sure. I'll check chat. That's one of the things I know I should be doing before we get ready.
Diana,
Yes. Hi, Marie.
I would come on video, but I'm lying in bed in a purple fuzzy bathrobe with headphones on, so I'm slightly embarrassed.
Well, that's a beautiful image, Marie. Thank you. We're going to hold that little cozy image for you.
My
Yeah.
cat is next to me, and I have a beautiful view out my window. But I wanted to share an experience that I've had that I feel like the practice that I've been doing was really instrumental in how I chose to address something.
Thank you.
I live on a street of mixed housing, so there are a number of rentals down the street from me, and I live 2 houses away from a stop sign at a cross street. And I have often been, in the 6 years, next month I've lived here, rather impressed, dismayed, and aghast at how fast cars are going past my house on such a small residential street. And I have noticed that I have judgment about all these people in the rentals, and they just don't have respect for other people on the street who have kids and pets and have some attachment because they own their homes, and realizing really a significant amount of judgment and anger and lack of feeling like I want to be able to control that, and feeling personally disrespected. And so checking in with, I'm taking something personally that has nothing to do with me, but yet I feel it's something that I feel like I want to address, maybe going to the city council or whatever. Yeah. So the other day I'm sitting in my driveway ready to leave, and someone goes flying past my driveway, and I thought, okay. And I turned around. I had already pulled out to head the other way, and I turned around and I went to see if I could find this white car. And I did. And a young couple was just getting out, and I had no idea what I was going to do. And I rolled down the window and I just said very nicely, and there was some judgment too, right, at how the couple presented. And I said, "Excuse me, do you live here?" And the young woman turned around and she looked to her boyfriend, or I'm assuming her boyfriend, who was walking rapidly in the other direction. And she said yes. And I put my hands in prayer position and I just said, there's an awful lot of kids who live on the street. And that's all I said. And he turned on his heel and stalked away. And she had the good grace to look slightly abashed. And that's all I said. And I wanted what I was feeling, because I was feeling threatened and irritated. And how many times are people going to speed down my street? And how many times do I have to see dead squirrels and people with kids with those little things that they put out with the green person and the flag that says, please slow down. And it was so little, but I felt like I needed to do something or say something and handle it as nicely and simply as possible, in the hopes that maybe the next time these people drive down the street, they will slow down a little bit.
Right.
And
That's right.
and I really wanted to say a lot of
Well,
different
some part of
things.
your brain had a lot more to say. Yes. Yes.
Yes,
This
it
is the
did.
beauty of restraint. Yeah. That's a lovely thing. You know, we want our truest nature for their well-being, for the well-being of those children, for our well-being to be equalized, right? So that I don't want you to confront the pain, the difficulty, and the suffering of causing harm, because that's very, very difficult and challenging. So you can want that for everyone. And when I make contact with that, I trust my response. I trust it. If I go, I really want to help you also not have to confront the suffering of causing harm to another. And then how do I act? I act as your friend. That's how I act. I act as your friend. I want you to be okay too. I want you, it's not just about the child, it's as much about you, the child who got out of that car. Right? I don't want that suffering for you, because you can't wash that off either.
Right.
That's lifelong.
And in the future, I think that I could use that skillfully. And right, I mean, I think so many people, well, I'll speak for me, I'm also hesitant to say anything to anybody because I'm afraid of retribution.
Yes.
Is my house going to get egged? Is somebody, right? They know
Yes.
where I live, and oh, this is that bitch who
Yes.
yelled at me to slow down. That's why I don't yell at people to slow down when I'm out in my front yard anymore.
Yes. Yes. I think
But
there's a reality to this, which is we have to make contact as a friend. Because if we are making contact as a critic, as a judge, as someone from the other side, I think we are in that time where I think we have to be aware that there is a vast amount of reactivity and of violence at the perceived other, right? And that's where I decide to act and also not act currently, is can I act as a friend to the other in my wish that they also not suffer, or they not have to bear the consequences of this unskillful action. And then, yes, we're all compelled now, we are, to take actions. We can't sit back. It's being talked about it, you know, we're all activists, as we're coming to understand, in how we contribute to that good. But it is essential that we do so as a friend to all, as a friend to all, as a brother and a sister to all. And if you cannot come from that place, I would hesitate briefly. I would hesitate.
Yep.
Yeah, Dennis, hello, good morning.
Yeah, I had something really, a gentleman came onto a tennis court a while ago, and he was sharing with me he had an aneurysm. He had a past background of doing very passionate about his tennis up in Los Angeles. And here he came to me and he said, I had this aneurysm. And I noticed when he walked, he had a limp. And then I noticed that when he talked, he had halted speaking. And then he also shared with me that this aneurysm caused him to go from right hand to left-handed. It switched. And he wants to continue. He has a passion for tennis, and he's turning to me for guidance. And so I'm searching my soul now to see how I can include them in a lot of my tennis that I'm doing, even with the park and recreation, because I have like 120 kids that are going to be coming out at Poinsettia Park. And so, but here is somebody who is obviously challenged, maybe partly mentally or physically, yet he wants to do tennis. And so I'm just going, and anyway, I'm just searching my soul, and I just thought I'd share that with everybody because, you know, he's kind of like chosen me as to be his kind of angel right now to give him, because he wants to be part of life still. His spirit is telling him, I still want to live.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd share that with everybody.
Yes, very lovely. You know what it makes me think of, Dennis, and something that always touches me so deeply is the Challenged Athletes Foundation. I cry every single time I see those people walking that athlete without legs, for example, into the water, right? And there was a time, wasn't there, first of all, where we went, well, you're damaged. That's too bad for you. Right. And that this is our waking up in all of these ways. How do I extend, open, include, right? The other, because now that person without legs doesn't look like me to me. I don't identify with that. And yet they are no less, right? The friend, the brother, the sister. We've got to get ready to go, but I will tell you what the Dalai Lama says, and it always, again, breaks me open. He says, I greet each person as if they are an old friend. Each person. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
Not a new friend, an old friend, someone I already know, someone I already love, someone with whom I already have a bound history. Right? Isn't that stunning? And boy, I couldn't even do it as an example, you know, in full confession, yesterday across the dinner table, right? I lost. Now, by the way, could I see that? Yes. Can I hold that in me? Yes. Can I honor that and befriend that in myself? Yes. Can I attend to that today by going to the botanical garden and just walking around and creating a little space for myself? Yes. Why? For me and others. Right. For me and others. So thank you so much for that. Let's just take a moment together.
And I've done wheelchair tennis before. It's really something.
Yes, of course. It's perfect. It's perfect.
And you really sweat when you're doing that. Let me tell you.
I'm gonna bet you really do. Exactly. And it's all worthy. It's all good. You know, that's a good sweat, isn't it? So let's take a moment together. Just we bow really humbly, then don't we? To the truth of our vast nature, to the truth of this inclusive heart, and to the truth that in a certain moment of fear, pain, anxiety, weariness, that we can forget. And then we can remember who we really are, who the other really is. May we all be happy, safe, well. May we all have ease. May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be peaceful. May we all take these moments, these practice moments, these pause moments, and these moments in vivo, in real life, to offer that good heart, like an old friend, to all beings. And may this practice today contribute. So be it. Thank you, Jim, who was here counting crows out out there on the patio. Thank you. I love having someone here, by the way. That felt really wonderful to me, and being able to be here as well with all of you, no matter how far the miles. Really, that feeling of connection is real for me. Thank you so much. Thank you for your practice. We will be meeting 2 more Monday nights, just 2. Next Monday at 8, and then the following, the 21st, which is the summer solstice, we'll be doing a solstice practice on that Monday, and then we'll be ending for the summer as I will be going into retreat and doing a little traveling. But we will be continuing on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And also, I believe that Greg will be continuing most Thursdays through the summer. We'll be checking in and I'll be letting you know about that. So be well, everyone. Blessings to all of you. May you know you are an old friend to me. Thank you. Thank you so much. Be well, everyone.